It's our kickoff countdown here on the Lawrence County SportsNet, powered by LCAP. We're counting down the days until opening kickoff of the 2025 football season. Counting down some of the top players, top plays, and top moments here in Lawrence County as we get ready for another year on the gridiron. I'm James Dotson along with Eric Thomas as we officially kick off our fifth year of the Lawrence County SportsNet. So a lot of milestones all around. And Eric, let's get right into it with our first countdown. We're going to be talking about the top quarterbacks here returning for Lawrence County. And, obviously the quarterback position, most important. I think let's get it out of the way right now. You have four returning starters and four teams that are going to have to find a new face or maybe faces who will be behind center for their respective teams. So, obviously, just in general, real quick, let's talk about how important it is to break in these new players, and especially if you have a freshman or a sophomore, it's going to be taking snaps this year for their team.
Well, and I think too, James, and good to be with you. I can't honestly believe that we're going to be
Yeah,
calling games here in 2 weeks, but I, along with the fact that some of these schools have to replace guys, I still need to see some improvement. What year two is for some starters, like even Bobby Fadden, for instance. I mean,
hmm
he was great last year in terms of yardage, but needs to cut down on the interceptions this year. How much more along is he? Lucas Santini, returning starter, but last year we saw flashes of it, but again, 11 and 10 as far as touchdowns, interceptions. Is he going to be more of a focal point of the offense? Is he going to be able to throw the ball more in a game? I think he got better as the season went on. He definitely got better week 1 to week 2 last year, but 52% completion percentage. I think that there's still some question marks, even with guys that we know that are going to be back there. But then you look at Elwood City and what they're going to do. They got to completely reshuffle the deck.
right.
I mean, Chris Smiley was almost a 4-year starter and really the catalyst for that team. I know that they were a run heavy team, but they're going to have to figure that out. Newcastle might be starting a freshman from what we hear in a conference that's going to include an Aliquippa team that has Mike Warfield back as the head coach. And even though they lost a couple parts, is probably going to be the favorite to win that conference. I mean, that's tough top to bottom. That we're going to see some of these younger guys, but I still think there might be some question marks too about some of the guys that are returning too. Are they ready to take the next step?
We will count them down, but let's start with our, the four. You kind of alluded to a couple of them with Elwood City. Would it be maybe younger brother Tyler Smiley? We saw him a few times last year for Elwood City. And yeah, 18 seniors, I think it was last year that they're going to have to replace. They're going to be a big storyline for us. Yeah, we know about the story with Newcastle, a great freshman Marino Graham coming up. Will he be behind center? Travis Wetzel looked good when he was back behind center last year. Union, you saw Fred Settle last year taking snaps. Nick Cook was a quarterback option. He got hurt at the beginning of last season. Jordan Kelly maybe going over from tight end to quarterback this year. I think Union could have many, many guys behind center. I think the only one that we would maybe feel confident about at this point, having not officially talked to any of the coaching staffs. Nico DeSalvo has done a good job, Shenango, as a backup, started a couple of games his freshman year. A good guy who can run and throw the ball. I like what I've seen so far, but you also don't know what Shenango has coming up and where they feel, because DeSalvo's a great running back too. So, there's just a lot of question marks. I think the teams are still going to be trying to figure out these last 2 weeks heading into the scrimmages and the first games.
And the one that we didn't mention at Neshannock and Gino Mazzacco, who
Yeah.
was fantastic last year. I mean, every statistic that you could have put out there, he improved on from the prior year. And they were really, really good last year. I know that they lost that playoff game to Jeanette, and you know that final score probably wasn't as close. It didn't indicate that that game was as close as it really was, because that game was very tight. If a couple plays go to Shannock's way, that's a much different game early on there. But Gino is back for year number 2 under a different coach, so he's gonna be the guy on that team that has a lot of parts in what is a loaded single A again this year. And I think if there's a team that might make a run, we can talk predictions later on, but if there's a team that might make a run out of our area for the WPIL final, I think the target's squarely on the Shannock. They for sure have every piece you need. Maybe a little retool on the line, we'll talk later, but they've got the number one single caller, I think, by far of any of the teams that we have that we cover, and by far of any of the guys coming back.
Well, we'll see if he does end up number one on our consensus rankings here, as we kind of talked with our Lawrence County SportsNet group. We give a top five at all these positions. It'll only be top four for quarterbacks because, again, we only have four returning quarterbacks. Number four, it's Wesley Vascal of Wilmington, and mainly because of the fact that he is, you don't want to say, that word, the facilitator of the offense, but, the offense is the running game more than the passing game. And yes, he does a brilliant job of calling the offense and running it when he needs to, throwing it when he does. Actually, half of his completions went for touchdowns last year, but also he only completed 24 passes a year ago. The question is with everybody, literally everybody back from Wilmington, do we see him throw it more, or are they going to stay with that bread and butter of running the football because they do it so well?
Yeah, that's going to be the big key. And, 54 attempts last year. But what was sort of, I don't want to say mind boggling, but was sort of the standout stat to me was 54 pass attempts and he still threw 11 touchdowns. And Freddie Zettner had 8 touchdown receptions on only 12 catches the whole season.
Yeah.
So that to me is that shows that they can do it. The game that I saw them last year, I thought they were pretty impressive when they did throw the football. So he might be ready to take that next step. I think they're going to be a heavy favorite, not just to win District 10, but I think they make a run to Cumberland Valley.
We'll talk full predictions and maybe a little early hot take there from Eric Thomas here as we continue on our kickoff countdown here. Let's count down to number three on our consensus rankings. And it's somebody who, first year, as you mentioned last year, Bobby Fadden had a lot of turnovers. He had some sparks of greatness. He threw for over 1,600 yards. And if Mohawk can avoid the turnovers, that's what hurt him, especially early in the year, Eric. If they can avoid those turnovers, I think you could easily be talking about a Mohawk team doing what they've never done before of winning playoff games in what would be, 4 straight years.
Yeah, you're never out of a game when he's on the field for you, a quarterback either. I mean, he can do so many things with the ball. He can run with it. He can launch it. He's got a cannon for an arm. Wasn't always the most accurate last year, but they really took a big gamble in putting him in there as the starting quarterback in place of Jay Rona. I don't think we were surprised by that, but still, you take your best offensive weapon away and put him at quarterback, and then you get the kind of production he did last year. Has to beef up the completion percentage a little bit, cut down on the interceptions. And, from Mohawk's standpoint, they need to find a little bit of defense early in the season, too. Remember, they had that shootout in Shannock right out of the gate last year. But they showed that they have some pop. And I thought it was interesting, too, in like reading some of the comments from Tim McCutcheon in one of the previews already about he really questioned the leadership of that team last year, and not in the sense that they didn't have any, but just that he wanted to test these guys. Well, the unquestioned leader of the team's the quarterback, and they've got now a 4-year starter, albeit at two different positions. He's the leading scorer on the basketball team. He's going to be the best athlete maybe to ever come out of the school when all's said and done, at least at a scholastic level. And you're never out of a game when he's the quarterback. It's simple as that. If he goes, this team probably is going to go this year. And if he's hot, there might not be anybody better throwing the football this season.
Yeah, I'm glad you alluded to that point about changing positions because he is the all-time receiving record holder, and he just played 2 seasons at wide receiver at Mohawk. But I think a lot will depend upon his shoulders, and also keep in mind too, they changed their offense last year. They ran it last year with Fadden at quarterback with the zone reads more than they've ever done before. So they'll give another year of being in that sort of system. I think will really help that Mohawk offense as well. He had 700 rushing yards last year. You could be talking about a potential 1,000 candidate. Would not surprise me there whatsoever. Lucas Antini is our number 2 quarterback. Believe it is. It's not official, but we believe that it is the most passing yards in a season for a Laurel quarterback, just shy of 1,800 yards. But again, that touchdown interception ratio, not where you want it to be. A lot of turnovers again earlier in the year that were cleaned up later. And I think also the fact they had to throw it early because of the running game not being there. They had the injury early in the season in the scrimmage, I believe it was, to Nathan Hill, and that kind of threw everything off. It took them a while to get going, but this is a Laurel team that can throw it. They're going to be more balanced this year, which is going to be great. And oh, by the way, just about everybody on that offense is back, including his top 2 targets.
Yeah, he got better. I mean, we did the first 2 weeks when they played Elwood City and then Mohawk the next week. He was remarkably better. I mean, I remember sending you a message, I think, during the second game saying, he's going to throw for 300 yards in this game. And you were like, what? Yeah, well, he really showed a lot of potential, did Santini. We know he's a good pitcher. I think he is going to make the biggest leap of all these guys this season. I think he's ready to show that he can be a top-notch quarterback. Not sure, what he'll do at the next level as far as college goes and playing sports, but he has all the potential to be maybe the best passer out of the teams that we cover this season in terms of yardage, in terms of touchdowns, everything. I just think the sky's the limit for this kid, and he really showed me a lot coming back from that game in week one when they struggled to put any points on the board in that first game against Elwood City until late in the game. And then the next week, they're virtually unstoppable on offense. And then we saw that Laurel team later in the year when they
Hmm.
went to Southside and just took them apart. And we did not expect them. We weren't shocked that they won the game, but we were shocked that they did it the way that they did it in that game. He's a big part of that. He's going to be I think the one to watch all season.
Hint, hint, you're going to be hearing names like Colton Carlson and Jack Miles when it comes to our top receivers coming back here for this year when we get to that preview coming up on our kickoff countdown. But here for the quarterbacks, number 4, Wesley Vascal of Wilmington. Number 3 is Bobby Fadden of Mohawk. Number 2, Lucas Santini of Laurel. And our number 1 returning quarterback, third year as the starter, coming back for Gino Mazzacco. 60% completion percentage last year. 1,400 passing yards, just shy of it. He also ran on the year for 720 yards. Just does everything for that offense, and you saw that, unfortunately, Eric, when he went down with the concussion in the playoff game. The offense just it stuttered big time, and that's because of how important he has been these last 2 years. He is the trendsetter, and that's the reason more than anything why I had him at my number 1 is because of the fact of what we saw the offense unfortunately turn into in that game against Jeanette after his injury.
And they still had a chance to be in that game too. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they dropped 2 or 3 interceptions in that game that really flipped the tide of it. So they had a shot, but what I liked about their offense last year, they took more chances throwing the ball down the field too. I mean, they had a play of 20 yards or more, I think, in all but 2 games last year. They really put an emphasis on some of the deep shots. They trusted him more to take some chances. Arm looked stronger last year. He can certainly move. We saw him play defense too at the very tail end of the season, including he was supposed to in the playoff game too before he got banged up. But yeah, when again, like a Fadden, when Gino goes, this offense is going to go this season. He's got the most pieces around him though, next to Santini. So going to be interested to see like how those two teams when they meet late in the year, how those two offenses, what level they're on. But he's got all the ability you need. I mean, his field vision was much better last year, made better decisions. You could tell he trusted himself more. The coaches trusted him more. And he's a special talent. He's going to go down in the record books at Neshannock too. And I think that we've not yet seen the best of him, although we got a good glimpse of it last year, especially later before he got hurt.
We will have week 0 games coming up in just 18 days, as crazy as that sounds. We will be covering, actually, believe we do have that first game between Neshannock and Mohawk. So we'll see 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks coming back, at least in our list here, right away. And we'll also have the Newcastle home opener against Penn Hills, and what's going to be a start to a great season and a great start here to our kickoff countdown. A big shout out to Penn Ohio Bottled Water. Give them a call for all of your bottled water needs as we get ready. It's still going to be hot for the next few days, hopefully not in the 90s by the time we're kicking it off on that early Friday night. Stay tuned. More coverage coming up and more countdowns. We'll go through running backs, wideouts. We'll go through the trenches in the defense and get you ready with some other fun countdowns over the next 2 weeks as we get down on our kickoff countdown. Thanks, Eric Thomas. I'm James Dotson. We'll be back with more tomorrow on our Lawrence County SportsNet Kickoff Countdown, powered by LCAT.